my name is Miguel and I will show you how to deploy a web application to Azure and how to enable it for authentication. We will use tools that make this process extremely simple and effective. We will use the Azure Developer CLI, AZD, and we will use also Easy Authentication from Azure. Let's jump to the machine and see how it. Okay, this is what you will need to follow me during this exercise. A GitHub account is optional only if you want to use CodeSpaces, which I recommend. An Azure subscription where you have contributor or owner rights, so you can create a resource group and services that we will need there, and the access to enter former Azure Active Directory for the tenant of your subscription. That is optional. That is for the Azure Easy Authentication. Why are we doing this? I think it's a very effective way to deploy applications into Azure. With CodeSpaces, you don't need to install anything on your PC, and it has saved me on occasions that I don't have access to my PC and I only have access to a tablet, for example, an iPad. The Azure Developer CLI, AZD, it's a really time-saving tool and really powerful tool. When you think that you need to deploy an application, you have to deploy basically two parts. The infrastructure or the Azure services where your application will be running, and then the code of the application. Before Azure Developer CLI existed, you were like separated into two worlds. Okay, one part is I deploy my infrastructure using whatever tools, and then I push the code using whatever tools. Azure Developer CLI, AZD, join those words together. So now you can use one tool to deploy your infrastructure and your code, which is, I think, pretty handy and very effective. Inside Azure Developer CLI, there is something called the awesome AZD template library, where you can find a lot of templates to start with AZD. There are two types of templates created by Microsoft or created by the community. All the instructions are there. So I recommend you, if you create a template, submit it to the gallery. The template that we are using is one that I created and I submitted to the gallery like 5 or 6 months ago. And basically, it's a very simple Streamlit application that shows some data from the famous New York City taxi rides. And the last part is Azure Easy Authentication, which basically it's 3 clicks settings that you can do to make sure that once you have published your web application into Azure, only people that you want can access that application. This is very simple and very powerful feature. Okay, let's go to my repository. This is the repository. And basically, I won't go into much detail, but there is a folder infra where we have all the infrastructure code to telling Azure which services we want to deploy. And then we have a source folder where we have the Python code for the Streamlit web application. What I will do is I will create a code space on the branch master. And let's see what this brings us. When you click here, it will open a new window and it will tell you that it's building your container. This will take some time, so after 2 or 3 minutes, you can see that we have now a Visual Studio Code running inside my browser with some compute in the back provided by GitHub CodeSpaces. This is the README, that's where usually it opens. This command here is needed only if you are running it on a machine locally, But since we are running here in GitHub CodeSpaces, we don't need to run this. Another thing to keep in mind is that since this is my repo, I didn't fork it. So I recommend you to fork it, and so you can work on your own version of the repo. Then the next command will be AZD app, that basically does two things. First thing is it will create all the resources, infra resources that are needed, and those are what are specified in this infra folder. So we can see here resources. These are the two things that it will deploy from the infrastructure point of view, app service plan, and a website, let's call it like that. We will see later exactly what that is. And the other thing that it does, it goes to the source folder and it will deploy the Streamlit application code into those services. So let's try and do that. We'll close here, looks better in the preview. So if I do an Azure app, it's asking me that it can paste. And it tells me that, hey, you are not logged in, please log in. So nothing special here. We can run the command that we are told here. And then it's telling us to copy this code and we will press enter and a new browser will open. It tells me that I have signed in, so I can go back here and now it's complete logged into Azure. Now I can execute AZD app that will do the two things that we discussed. Now that I'm logging in, it tells me which subscription I have access, and I will choose this subscription that I have been using for some OpenAI demos. You can choose whatever subscription you have access. And then it tells me which locations I can deploy. I will go to West Europe. That's why I normally use Europe, West Europe. There it is. And now it's telling me that it's deploying to this subscription and to this location, and that if I want to see from the Azure portal what it's doing, I can click here. So if I click here, I can see that it's doing deploy a resource group with the name that we type, and inside the resource group it's deploying an app service plan, and soon it will deploy something else. The app service plan, the app service, and then some configuration on top of that. Now this has finished in the Azure portal, so if we go to resource group, we can see that this is what has been deployed here. If we go back here, it has tell us that, okay, this is the first part, so all the infrastructure or services are ready, and now it's doing the second part, that is deploying our source code to that application. And now it tells me that it has finished. We can copy this URL and try to see it. For example, here. This takes some minutes before the application is ready, so I will pause the video for some seconds or minutes. Okay, after almost 4 minutes in the URL that was shown before, the application is running. It's a very simple application that is even the first hello world in the Streamlit documentation, so nothing fancy here, but you can see Streamlit is pretty creates pretty nice application. You can here pick at what time, and you can see here in the map all the Uber pickups in New York, and they change a bit depending on the hour that you see, and it's read the data from a public repository, etc., etc., etc. So now another interesting feature is that we have deployed this. So we did AZD app that did two things: infra and then the code. So of course, if we want to change the code of the application, let's say we didn't like the bars in the first part of the application and we want to put lines, then we just can put here line chart, and then his values, and then we will see another command that basically, since the infrastructure is existing and you don't want to change it, you just want to redeploy the code, you can come here and just run AZD deploy. This is only deploying the code. So if we click here, AZD deploy, we can see that it started to deploy to Azure. Just the code, no need to redeploy the infrastructure because that's not changing. Okay, it took only 12 seconds to deploy. Then we can see if the changes are available here. Now it's ready and it's ready to serve requests. So now it tells me that I can view my Streamlit application. So as you can see, it already automatically reflected the change that I did, that I changed this to align instead of the bar chart. So very easy to see, to deploy just your application changes, just running AZD deploy. Now we will talk about Azure Easy Authentication. So this application with this URL, anywhere, anyone in the world can access it. And sometimes we don't want that. Other times we may want that, but in this case, I don't feel that this is what I want. So for example, if I go to a new incognito window and then I put the same URL, yes, even from an incognito window, everybody can see it. So that means the entire whole world. So Azure has created a very interesting thing. Let me go here. So this is the resource group that it deploy, and here we have the service plan and the service that it deploy. And here I just come here to authentication and I can click add identity provider. I chose Microsoft and then I did registration demo Streamlit app 1, and we can leave all the defaults. Click add, and now that's it. I don't know if it was 2 or 3 clicks, but this is really nice. So now that we have this in place, okay, now that we set the Easy Auth and the application restarted automatically, we can see that because I'm logged in, I can access the application. But now if I go to a new incognito window and I try to access the application, the first things that ask me is that, hey, please log in because this application is not public, which is a great thing, to be honest. You don't have to change anything in the code of the application, and you have the ultra secure Azure login. So that's something that you should really leverage. Now that we are done developing, we are done for the day, whatever. What we can do is that we don't want to spend money on our Azure resources, so we can come here and just do AZD down. That means delete all the infrastructure that you have deployed, so there are no Azure costs there. So I can hit AC down, and it's initializing, and then it will tell me, hey, you will delete to resource. Are you sure you want to continue? I click yes, and then it starts to delete the resources. As a wrap up, we use CodeSpaces. Basically, it's a Visual Studio Code running on the web. If you don't want to install anything on your PC, or you have a device where you cannot run AZD, for example, a tablet, an iPad, or something like that, then this is one way to go. Then we use AZD. Remember that AZD also has a gallery where you can find a lot of applications that are already there for you to use, and then you just can modify. We use the command AZD app that it deploy the infrastructure into Azure, the services that are needed, and then the code. We did a change to the code, and then we just ran AZD deploy. That took like 11 seconds. That because it's just deployed the code inside the Azure services, doesn't deploy the infra anymore. And then I show you that with Azure Easy Authentications, with 3 clicks, basically you have Azure authentication for any web applications, which I find it really, really nice. If you liked this video and demo, let me know, and then I can create a new video to show you how you can create CI/CD pipelines for GitHub Actions or Azure DevOps, whatever you prefer, for deploying this infrastructure and code leveraging AZD. So it's really simple. AZD does most of the work for you. So if you're interested, just let me know and I will record the next video. Thank you for watching.